After the will was read, she went to visit her husband and overheard her mother-in-law. Dear viewers, welcome to our channel. Subscribe to receive more stories every day. Olivia Hayes was stunned as she looked at the man standing on her doorstep. I'm sorry, could you repeat that? My great-aunt Evelyn left me an estate. The man in a cheap suit gave a condescending grin. Yes, ma'am. It appears your aunt had quite a bit of wealth that no one knew about. It's surprising how the elderly can keep such secrets, don't you think? Olivia couldn't help but laugh in disbelief. Great-aunt Evelyn. Rich, you must have the wrong person. She always lived like she was barely getting by. Nevertheless, the man responded with a shrug, you're required to attend the reading of her will. It's set for Friday at 3 p.m. at Collins & Associates law offices in the city center. Don't be late. He tipped his hat and walked away. Wait, Olivia called out, but he was already heading to his car. She shut the door slowly, her mind racing. An estate from Great-aunt Evelyn. Didn't make any sense. Olivia sat at her modest kitchen table, sipping coffee as she thought about her relationship with her great-aunt. Truthfully, they had never been close. Evelyn was a solitary and strict woman, not one to show much warmth. But she was family, and Olivia had made an effort to visit her regularly over the years, helping with chores, bringing meals, and organizing birthday celebrations. Despite Evelyn's cold demeanor, Olivia always managed to keep a smile on her face. Her husband, David, had little patience for the old woman. He'd met Evelyn only a few times, once before their wedding and maybe a couple of times afterward, but that was more than enough for him. He didn't see the point in spending time with someone who made him feel unwelcome. Olivia sighed, trying to make sense of the lawyer's claims. Could it really be true that Evelyn had hidden wealth? She wondered what she would do if the estate was real. Perhaps she could finally quit her weekend job at the diner. Maybe she could actually get a full night's sleep. Glancing at the clock, Olivia realized she was about to be late for her shift. She quickly finished her coffee, grabbed her purse and headed out. She would have to call David from the bus to fill him in on this strange news. Luckily, Olivia found a seat on the crowded bus. She took out her phone and called David, hoping he was feeling well enough to talk. Hey, love, he answered sleepily. What's going on? You won't believe this, Olivia began. A lawyer came by, saying Great-aunt Evelyn left me an estate. An estate? Can you imagine? David let out a low whistle. Really? She had money tucked away. That's news to me. Apparently, Olivia replied. I'm supposed to attend a will reading on Friday afternoon. I don't know what to make of it. Well, that sounds promising, David said with forced cheer. Maybe you can finally take a break from all this work. You've earned it. Olivia smiled faintly. If only it were that easy. We'll see. How are you feeling? Any word from your mom? David's mother, Gloria, worked at St. Andrew's Clinic and had been trying to get him seen by specialists for his ongoing health issues. His fragile health made it difficult for him to keep a job, and every time he clashed with coworkers, it seemed to land him in the ER. Olivia had been working non-stop to cover the costs of his treatments and supplements. Oh, same as always, David sighed. I don't know, Liv. Maybe I should just accept that I'm never going to get better. It might not be fair to bring kids into this world with my health issues. Olivia bit her lip, holding back the sadness she felt about the baby they had planned to try for this year. Don't say that, she whispered. I know you'll get better. Just rest and let your mom take care of things, okay? I'll come visit you tomorrow at the clinic. After exchanging I love yous, Olivia hung up and stared out the window, trying not to let David's pessimism affect her. She needed to stay hopeful. Maybe this estate was the good fortune they had been waiting for. The next morning, Olivia arrived at room 214 in St. Andrew's Clinic, eager to see David. She knocked twice and walked in with a bright smile, only to have it quickly fade as David frowned at her from his bed. Hey, love, she said cheerfully, leaning in to kiss him. He turned his head away. Couldn't you have made an effort to look nice? He asked, annoyed. Every other woman here looks like she's stepping out of a magazine, and I'm stuck with this? Olivia flinched as if slapped. David, how could you say that? You know how exhausted I am from work. I barely have time to. Yeah, you're a saint. I get it, he interrupted, waving her off. When's that estate money coming in? Maybe then you can buy some decent clothes. Blinking back tears, Olivia left the room without another word. She walked down the hallway, finally collapsing on a bench near the elevators. Was this really what their marriage had become? As she sat with her head in her hands, she couldn't help but overhear the conversation of two men walking by. I told my wife I had to stay here for more tests, one of them chuckled. But really, I'm just hanging out with the guys. We've got a poker game planned and enough booze to last the weekend. Same here, his friend replied with a grin. What they don't know won't hurt them, right? Olivia felt sick to her stomach. Was this how men behaved behind closed doors? She shook her head. No, David wouldn't lie to her like that. He was just frustrated from being cooped up, that's all. She took a deep breath, wiped her tears, and stepped out into the sunlight. Tomorrow was an important day. She needed to focus on that. Friday morning arrived crisp and clear. Olivia woke up early, determined to clean the apartment before David came home on Monday. She still couldn't quite grasp the idea of inheriting an estate. Growing up, her family had always struggled financially, but maybe this was the fresh start they needed. Arriving at the lawyer's office an hour early, Olivia was led to a cozy waiting room by a friendly receptionist. Would you like some coffee? The young woman asked. Yes, please, Olivia replied, settling into a plush armchair that probably cost more than her entire living room set. She was just adding cream and sugar when her phone buzzed. David, Olivia muttered, guessing why he was calling. She answered, rolling her eyes. Let me guess, you're wondering about the estate. Of course, David replied. Can you blame me? This is big, Liv. So, what's the scoop? I won't know anything for another hour, she explained patiently. I'll let you know as soon as I have details. As time passed, Olivia grew more and more nervous. What would she do if it was a substantial amount? What would she do if it wasn't? Finally, her name was called, and her heart pounded as she followed the lawyer into his office. Miss Hayes, please have a seat, the lawyer said, motioning toward a chair in front of his desk. I'm Bernard Collins, and I'm handling your great-aunt's estate. Thank you, Olivia said as she sat down. This is all a bit overwhelming. Aunt Evelyn never spoke about her finances. Mr. Collins chuckled. Yes, she was known for being private, but I assure you she was quite wealthy. He handed her a file, and as Olivia opened it, her breath caught. The number printed on the page didn't seem real. This must be a mistake, she gasped. There are too many zeros. $5.8 million, Mr. Collins confirmed with a smile. And I assure you it's no mistake. Olivia clutched the folder, her mind reeling. $5.8 million. It was more money than she had ever imagined. A laugh bubbled up inside her. Wait until David hears about this. With trembling fingers, she quickly typed a text. Estate is $5,800. Can you believe it? In her excitement, she didn't realize she had left off the crucial last 3 zeros before hitting send. Unable to stay for the rest of the meeting, Olivia made a quick excuse and hurried out of the office, clutching the file. She had to tell David immediately. He was going to be blown away. Skipping the bus, she hailed a cab and rushed to St. Andrew's Clinic, barely able to sit still during the ride. When the cab finally arrived, she threw some cash at the driver and sprinted up the stairs to David's room, eager to share the life-changing news. As she approached room 214, the sound of voices made her stop just outside the door. It was David and Gloria, deep in conversation. Olivia knew she shouldn't eavesdrop, but something made her listen. Can you believe she bought the whole act? David sneered. She thinks I'm actually sick. As if I'd spend a minute here if I didn't have to. Gloria laughed harshly. You've got her completely fooled. I still can't believe you settled for someone like her. Tell me about it, David groaned. But here's the kicker. Great Aunt Evelyn left her some cash. Once she transfers that to my account, I'm out of here. Let her play nursemaid to someone else. Olivia felt her blood run cold. She blinked, trying to convince herself this wasn't real. But the cruel laughter from David and Gloria shattered any illusion she had left. Her entire marriage, her whole life with this man, had been a lie. Without another word, Olivia turned and ran, not even noticing the tears streaming down her face. She ran until she couldn't run anymore, finally stopping by the river. As she stared out at the water, Great Aunt Evelyn's voice echoed in her mind. "That man's no good. He's going to bleed you dry," she had warned Olivia after meeting David. "You're making a big mistake." At the time, Olivia had brushed it off as the bitterness of an old woman. But now, with her heart shattered, she saw the truth. Evelyn had been right, and somehow she had made sure Olivia had the means to escape. With a deep breath, Olivia squared her shoulders and walked away from the river. She had things to do, calls to make and divorce papers to file. As for David, he was in for a shock when he came home to an empty apartment. For now, Olivia decided she would stay with her best friend, Sophie, for a few days. Then, she would take a solo trip to the Hamptons to heal. For the first time in years, as the sun warmed her face, Olivia felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe this was the start of something new, something better. She couldn't wait to find out. 3 days later, David limped through the door of their apartment, prescription bottle in hand. "Honey, I'm back," he called out sarcastically. "Where's my estate check?" Silence. Frowning, he looked around, noticing the empty walls and shelves. A single piece of paper lay on the counter. "David," it read in Olivia's handwriting, "by the time you read this, I'll be gone. And in case you haven't realized, I know everything. I know you've been pretending to be sick to avoid working. I know you and your mother have been laughing at me behind my back. And I know you were planning to take my money and leave. Well, the joke's on you, because that estate wasn't $5,800. It was $5.8 million. And every penny is mine. I've already filed for divorce. You have 30 days to collect your things and get out. Have a nice life. Olivia." David's scream of rage filled the empty apartment as the letter fell to the floor. He kicked a chair in frustration, cursing himself for underestimating her. Meanwhile, Olivia was miles away, lying on a beach chair, sipping a fruity drink as she watched the waves. She thought about the cozy cottage she had just put an offer on and smiled. "Everything happens for a reason," Great Aunt Evelyn used to say. Olivia raised her glass in a silent toast, thanking her wise aunt for the lesson and the estate. For the first time in forever, she was excited to see what life had in store for her next. Dear viewers, thank you for watching. If you like this story, please subscribe to our channel to receive more stories every day. Share with us what you think of this story.